What's up, everyone? Josh or Miho here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the debut album from the band Laceration, entitled Severing the Divine Iniquity. This is released on New Standard Elite. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they're based out of Perth, Scotland in the UK, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be pretty much plain and simple brutal death metal, with a lot of creative riffs and awesome slams thrown in there too. This is my first time hearing about this band. If I'm not mistaken, prior to this album, there have been a couple of demos and maybe one EP. But mainly all throughout, this has mainly been a one-man kind of deal. Hamish, if I'm not mistaken, he plays the majority of everything. Guitar, bass, drums, vocals, you name it, he's done it. This is the debut full-length, and he has some assistance with this album. He got the guy from, he got Tom from Scat Orgy to do the drums, and he got a guy from another really good up-and-coming brutal death metal band called Iniquitous Savagery, Chris from that band, to do bass on this album. Yeah, let's talk about Severing the Divine Iniquity. It's 9 tracks, and it runs around 28.5 minutes in length, so this is a pretty good length kind of record. But what you get with this album, you're going to get some really awesome, fluid musicianship, and it only shows what the hard work that this project has put together, and it only makes me wonder what's going to be in Laceration's future. The guitar work on here is the absolute main highlight of this entire record. These riffs are just disgusting. They're nasty. I love these riffs. These riffs are so catchy, so creative. Every other track on here has riffs that are very interesting. They hold your attention. They make you listen. They make you want to bang your head and get into that pit. That's the kind of vibe and quality you get with the guitar work on here. It's just very well structured, very well played, and very well executed. I love that about the guitar on this album. It's played very well. There's a good crunch and a good groove to it, and it definitely showcases itself throughout this album, even to some of the shorter tracks on this album, because most of the songs on here range from around 2.5 minutes to around 4 minutes in length. But I do believe that the shorter songs on this record definitely have the bigger, harder-hitting punches than some of the longer ones, in my opinion. But I still think the guitar work on this album is just so amazing. I really love it a lot. The bass work on here is really fantastic. I really dig the way the bass is played. It's very, very audible, very well mixed, very well played. Just a little bit of that, I want to say on the second track, Enlightened Through Introspection, I really think you get the best out of the bass on that track. Very audible, very clear, very well played. You can hear the moments where it just ventures off into its own, and it's pretty damn cool, and I love that. The drums on here are just maniacal. If you've heard Tom's work on Scat Orgy, you already know what you're going to get on this album. This guy is an amazing, amazing drummer, and he just showcases how good of a drummer he can be. Just very fast, very, very machine gun-like drum work. Very fast-paced, great blast beats, great double bass. Just the way the snare tone is. It's the kind of brutal death metal snare tone that you would hear on a usual brutal death metal record, but he does that very well. It's catchy. It stays stuck in your head. And that's the kind of great quality and vibe you get when you listen to the drums. The drums are really solid here. And the vocals remind me a lot of Putrid Pile. Very guttural, very undecipherable at times, but yet the way this guy does his vocals, it's very understandable. There are cases where you can understand what he's saying, but more often than not, he delivers it in a very guttural, nasty kind of tone, and he delivers his vocals just very, very good here. I love this guy's vocal style. And another thing to point out about this album is This album has probably one of my favorite traits when it comes to brutal death metal. I've said this before, but I figure I need to give more emphasis on it, and that's lyrical content. Not everything in brutal death metal has to be about blood and guts and gore. It can be, but if you add a little bit more finesse and intelligence to it, it definitely makes for something more interesting, and that's the case with the lyrics on this album. I mean, songs like Beheading the Prophets of Hope and Flesh Sculpted Atrocity, even the closing track, Abhorrent Remnants of the Defiled Being. There's some great lyrical content on here from this album, and definitely showcases itself here. Very, very good songwriting, very good lyric writing going on here. So overall, I think this is an awesome debut album. If you happen to be into one-man brutal death metal, like let's say maybe Insidious Decrepancy or Putrid Pile, even Blood-Soaked, Laceration is definitely the band for you to check out. This is going to be another brutal death metal band, single one-man person. You know where I'm getting at. Another addition to a really awesome musical style. If I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Enlightened Through Introspection, Beheading the Prophets of Hope, Neuroleptic Malignancy, Flesh Sculpted Atrocity, and the closing track, Abhorrent Remnants of the Defiled Being. I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to where you can hear this and pick this up. I'm going to leave you a link to the New Standard Elite web store where you can buy this for yourself. There's also posters and t-shirts. Also to the New Standard Elite Bandcamp. They just came out with a Bandcamp. If you want to hear it and stream it digitally, buy it digitally if you're into that. I'll also leave you a link to the Laceration web store if you happen to live overseas in Europe, if you want to buy it directly from Hamish himself. So I'm going to show you the album again. This is Severing the Divine Iniquity by Laceration. This is released on New Standard Elite. Support this band, and I'm going to give this a very strong 8 out of 10. Very awesome debut album. Support Laceration. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until next time, Army Ho out.